Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Restorations and Repairs. Today I'll be showing you how to install this trailer wiring onto your existing car, truck, or SUVs. Let's do it. So here we go. It is a flat 4 converter kit. This is the most commonly used trailer wiring kit you're going to find on most trailers, your boats, your I'd say up to 12 foot single axle. If you get into electric brakes, you're going to use a different type of plug, but for most people this is what you're going to want to have. This kit is made for ones that have a separate turn signal from their park/brake light, right? And so this is the special kit here. They do make different types. So what you need to do right out of the gate here is go to the back of your vehicle. And if it's a really old vehicle, the turn signals will actually use the same light that the brake light uses. So when you turn a turn signal on, your park light is here in red, and suddenly it will flash brighter. That's the turn signal. That's a combination light. This is going to be a different one. This setup is for one where you have your park light. When you hit the brakes, it turns on to brakes. When you hit your turn signal, a separate light, an orange or amber light, turns on. Most cars made after, say, 1983 or so are going to have that style, although I suppose there's still one or two out there that still use the old way of doing things. I'm going to take this out of the box here, and we're going to go over what you're going to need to do this job. It is really not difficult. So let's take a look at what we've got once we unbox it. The main unit is this right here. It is the Hopkins taillight converter. It's a weatherproof, it says, double mold design. And the wires coming off of it, we're going to have these wires here. And if you look closely on the inside, they're actually marked. Here's our right turn signal here. And here is our ground wire here. These two are a wee bit longer. And then we have these three here, and that would be our brake light is red, and then our other turn signal and other ground over here. So, or our taillight marker, sorry. So those are those. And then, that's awfully short. So it came with this extension, so I can run this out. Depending on your make and model, you might have to go quite a ways to get this out, but I'll be zip tying this wherever it is I need it to get. I'll probably give myself enough slack here, that I can reach to the trailer on my trailer that I have. What I decided to buy this kit for is that it came with these. These are really easy to work with, and you're only going to need one tool to do this job other than whatever it takes to remove your tail lights, and that is these. These are called Scotch locks. And you just need a pair of pliers to crimp down on these. So you're not cutting and pasting anything. You're just going to slide these on to your existing wiring harness and puncture it. They do have some zip ties and a cap here to keep everything from getting corroded. So that was cool they included it. And I think the coolest thing of all is it might be the world's cheapest looking or smallest, but it's going to get the job done if you don't have one. It is a test light, an LED test light. So what we use that for is we can have our helper go, hey, hit the brakes. And if the light lights up, well, I know that that's the one that I need to hook to my brakes. So that's really cool that they included that. All right, next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and get access to my taillights. Now, I'm working with a vintage pickup truck, but you might have, no matter what the model, you're going to have to get to the wiring at the back of one of your taillights, actually both of them. So let's do that right now. All right, here we are at the back of my little truck. I've taken both of the taillights out, and what I've done right now is turned on the lights and the hazard lights so that I can get an idea of what is what here in the harness. I've used this little thing. You attach it to a ground, and we can back probe a wire if we need to see, hey, what is what, right? So if I want to know which one of these wires is going to be my turn signal hot, well, I can stick that in there, hopefully. And you can see the little, hopefully you can see that. My little LED is lighting up, so that is that wire there, and I'll go ahead and make that my first connection here. All right, once I have determined which wire, in this case this wire here is the one I want to use, I'm going to now open up my Scotch lock. I'm going to slide that in between that wire and snap that part closed. The next wire is yellow. That's the one that's going to be for my turn signal on this one. And so I'm going to slide that in there until it's all the way in. And then I use my pair of pliers, hopefully you can see this okay, and I squeeze that metal bracket down, just like so. When I'm done with that, I snap the door closed, and there's dielectric grease in there, so that should keep anything from moisture or rust or corrosion from getting in. But I've just made my first connection. I'll go ahead and put that light back in there. Okay. All right, so you've just made your first connection, right? Next up, I'm going to do my ground. That's this white wire. This is going to control the whole circuit. It's going to be the ground for the park lights, the brake lights, the turn signals on both sides. I have my ground wire right here. I'm going to go ahead and unhook my little test light here for a second. And I'll get that out of the way. And I'm just going to unscrew my existing ground that I have. And if you don't have a ground that's in a convenient area, that's not that big of a deal, because you can just use a self-tapping screw and add a ground anywhere you need. In this case, I got lucky, and this is just an available ground right here, so I'll go ahead. All right, and now I can move on to the other two wires. One of these is going to be my park light, and one of them is going to be my brake light. So these are the park light and brake lights here. And you can see which one is which without having a helper, which my helper is outside right now, but I'll take this out, and it'll look in there. You have two connections, one on the left, one on the right. Well, I'll hook up my test light again, and one of these should be lit. The ground is off to the side there. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. So the ground is here. It's this little wire right here. But if you notice on the back, I have a left and a right. One of those should light up, and the other one shouldn't. So that one doesn't light up, and that one does. That means that if I'm looking at it back here, this wire is going to be my park light, and that wire is going to be my brake light. This will be different on your car, but as long as you can trace which wire goes to which plug, you know that you've got the right one. So I'm going to hook up my park wire first. That's that wire right there. So again, I'll take my Scotch lock, I'll open it up, I'll slide it in here. Slide that up enough that I can get this up through. Just make sure when you slide that one in that it doesn't catch on the little piece of metal there. We want it to go all the way in. Once it's all the way in, you're going to grab that. And you're done. Time to move on to the other one. Lastly, on this side, we'll be hooking up our red, which is our brake light, and it's the same process. I've looked here. That's going to be my brake light. I can go ahead, open up my Scotch lock, slide it in like so, and I'm ready to slide my brake light in as well. And that's it. We're ready to reassemble this side. You will see, and of course I didn't film this because it's going to be different for every car, but I've got my wires tucked in down. It's going to go along the underside of the bed here on this car. But I'll just tuck everything back in neatly, and we can get this side done. I'm actually going to turn off the lights at this point because I know the color of the wire that I now need on the other side without using a test light, without verifying that what I have is what I have. So there we go. Let's move on to the other side. All right, here we are over on this side. I have fished the wire across here. There's an existing tailgate harness that's up underneath here in the rail. We call it like it's a rolled fender basically, but they attached the harness across there, and I'll show you where I hooked it up back here for the trailer here in a second. But same thing, I've got my hazards back on. I've got the test light they provided. I'm going to hook this to ground, and I am going to remove this light, and I'm going to take out the bulb and verify my turn signal is in fact that wire right there. Looks like green and brown on this car. Plug that back in. We can plug all that back in there. All right, and this was not as easy as on this side, but I was able to fish the green wire up. There it is, and there's just enough in the harness here for me to do this one last time. I got my last Scotch lock. I'll go ahead. I'm going to go install it like this time. We'll run that up in there. And we squeeze the Scotch lock. Make sure it was a good connection. Close that up. And we're ready to put this part back together. Not a bad job at all, really. I would say start to finish, and I am not in any kind of rush today. It's actually kind of cold out this morning, so I figured I'd knock this out before the sun finally hit the property and things warm up a bit. I do need to use the trailer tomorrow to go pick up some riding mowers I'm going to flip over the winter. I'll bring you along for that journey on the other channel. If you're not following both channels, I hope you will consider doing so. We are almost done. I put these 4 screws back in here, and I'll move the camera and show you the last bit that I did. Let's do it. All right, here it is. This is it. I've got it along the rail where my spare tire holder is. I wrapped the cord around that so I wouldn't have it dangling. I've gone ahead and installed the dust cover that they provide, which is kind of nice. And I'll leave that on when I'm not using it. And my step bumper has a little spot in the back here. So what I'm going to do with mine when I'm not using it is just have it like that, flopping around there so it doesn't touch the road or get caught up in the road. But it's easy enough to get to when I need to hook it to a trailer. Like I said, half hour, 45 minutes. Actually, if I was doing this on a station wagon or an SUV, it'd probably have been considerably easier. This is just a matter of popping the tailgate, and usually you can reach in from behind and get to the wiring harness. I guess that'll do it for today, my friends. I've got one more video that I'll be putting up on the other channel with the carry-on trailer that I purchased that this wiring will be going in working with. Now maybe installing a winch, a hand-operated winch on that one. So if you hop over to the other channel in another week or so, hopefully you'll get a chance to see that. Till next time, my friends, take care.